Hello and welcome to Spectrum Control's webinar on the Universal Industrial Gateway. My name is Nick Bierman and I'm here with Garrett Edwards, our Senior Product Manager, and Randy Mays, our Application Engineer. Before we get started, I would like to let you know that we just released 5 new gateway videos. These tutorial videos cover initializing the gateway, system configuration, adding devices and tags, creating tag maps, maintenance, and diagnostics. You can watch these on spectrumcontrols.com YouTube channel or go to spectrumcontrols.com/gateway. If you have any questions, please post them in the questions section on the side panel. We will answer the questions at the end of the webinar. Let's get started. Garrett, take it away.
Thank you, Nick. Today's agenda includes a brief introduction of Spectrum Controls, followed by a few slides on Gateway and what makes it a better way to gateway. I'll then pass it over to Randy for the live demo, and we'll conclude with a look at the protocol roadmap and Q&A. So what is Universal Industrial Gateway? It is a single solution for connecting multiple devices across multiple protocols simultaneously. With up to 4 serial ports and 1 Ethernet port, you can transfer data to and from any port in any combination, regardless of the protocol and whether it's serial or Ethernet. This capability brings the connected enterprise to your devices and increases your asset lifecycle and availability. Visually, you can see that the Universal Industrial Gateway is your single solution gateway that has the ability to speak up to 9 protocols simultaneously, talk to multiple devices at once, move thousands of tags in one box, and bridge communication between Rockwell, Siemens, and Schneider controllers, as well as field devices. Given the Universal Gateway supports 9 protocols, that equates to 36 protocol-to-protocol combinations. And because the Universal Gateway operates as a master device, there are 6 slave-to-slave protocol combinations, meaning, for example, you can communicate between 2 Modbus RTU devices when using the Universal Industrial Gateway. From a datasheet perspective, a single Ethernet port currently supports up to 4 Ethernet-based protocols simultaneously. The serial interface supports 5 serial-based protocols on either the 2 or 4 serial port option. Note that each serial port can be configured individually to support any of the 5 serial-based protocols, meaning you can have 4 serial protocols communicating on a single universal gateway. Also listed are the PLC types that we've tested against. They include a variety of Rockwell, Schneider, and Siemens controllers. Finally, the Universal Industrial Gateway supports 100 tag pairs per map with a maximum of 50 maps. That's support for up to 5,000 tag pairs. The Universal Gateway also supports the listed data types and formatting methods. Available as a 2 serial port or 4 serial port option with a single Ethernet port, users have the option to select between 2 protocol packages, a -P1 and a -P2. Also available is the option to field upgrade any -P1 Universal Gateway to support all 9 protocols through a simple firmware upgrade. As we release support for more protocols, this same firmware upgrade process will be the key to adding more protocols to your Universal Gateway. With all this functionality in a single box, the Universal Industrial Gateway is extremely cost competitive. Not only is the Universal Gateway cost competitive against any one-to-one protocol gateway, but it provides more standard ports so you can connect more devices. And because the Universal Industrial Gateway supports 9 protocols, it is the equivalent of owning 10 one-to-one protocol gateway devices, but without the expense. That means the more protocols you need bridge, the more money you save. So here at Spectrum Controls, we believe the Universal Gateway is a better way to gateway for 3 reasons: communications made easy, easy to use, and cost effective. Because it's a single solution that doesn't require any PLC programming or I/O changes and is fully configurable, communications could not be easier. The browser-based configuration means no software to buy or install, and a single user interface makes for intuitive navigation and consistent configuration for any protocol. Also built into the device is context-sensitive help that allows you to view help relevant to the screen you are configuring without having to search through pages of documentation. Finally, with the functionality of multiple gateways for the price of one, more standard serial ports than the competitors, and the ability to add protocols in the field through a firmware upgrade, the Universal Gateway is extremely cost-effective. The Universal Industrial Gateway also supports reading and writing produced consume tags, exporting tag map configurations for documentation, capturing TCP and serial data for debugging, and backup and restore settings. So what are the benefits of owning a Universal Industrial Gateway? It allows you to control the time and cost of upgrades, increase asset lifecycle and availability, reduce maintenance costs and downtime, and inventory a single product SKU. Put in other terms, the Universal Gateway enables you to modernize your networks and retain your legacy devices. Put legacy devices back to good use, control what you upgrade and when you upgrade, control the migration from one brand to another, integrate a machine where you cannot modify the PLC ladder code, ensure your machine integration into any factory, get up and running faster with a single solution gateway, as well as reduce training costs with a single solution gateway. I'll now hand it over to our application engineer, Randy Mays, who will take us through a live demo. Randy?
Thanks, Garrett. As Garrett had mentioned, my name is Randy Mays. I'm an application engineer here at Spectrum Controls, and I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes going through some basic operations of the gateway, and then we're going to set up a live demo, if you will, and it's going to be comprised of a MicroLogix 1100 that is speaking Modbus RTU to a compact Logix via Ethernet IP. Okay, the basic operations of a gateway, there's three components to it. One is we call devices, which you configure you'll see in the configuration screen, and you configure a device to talk to a PLC or another device that is speaking one of the protocols we support. So that device represents the connection to that PLC or other device. Within that device, we have tags in the gateway that are linked to tags, data files, Modbus registers in the device that it's connected to, and then the tag maps, which is really where the work is being done. The tag map will take a tag from one device, use it as a source, and move it to a tag to another device as a destination. And so let's see a flow chart of that here. So basically, in this application, this is going to represent what we're going to do here. I've got two devices. Each device has a series of tags associated with it, and those tags will be used as either a source or a destination in the tag map. If I plug the PLCs into that, you can see I've got two PLCs. This, again, will be the application we're going to do today. One is a MicroLogix 1100 Modbus RTU and a compact Logix Ethernet IP. I'm going to create a tag in the gateway that is tied to a Modbus register in the MicroLogix, and then another tag in the gateway that's tied to a tag in the PLC. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a system tag, and I'll explain that here in a second, that has the time in the gateway, and I'm going to move that to the compact Logix. And again, I'll show you that here in a second. So couple of notes before we get started on the demonstration itself. Network configuration. The gateway's IP address must match the subnet mask of the PLC or the device that it's connected to, i.e. if the PLC has an address of 192.168.10.10, the gateway's address must be 192.168.10. something other than 10 or 255. The serial ports on a gateway, they default to 19.2, a 10-bit word with no handshaking, and an RS-232 connection. There's a variety of configuration changes you can make to that, but the point is that you need to make sure that if you're using a serial port to connect to a device, that the serial port on the gateway needs to match the serial port on the device you're connected to. Garrett had mentioned the context-sensitive help in any one of the pages in the configuration of the gateway. There will be a little blue icon in the upper right-hand corner with a question mark in it. Select that, and it will bring up a help page that is pertinent to the page you are on, and I will show you an example of that as well. as I had mentioned about the system tag with the time, there are two predefined devices within the gateway called system and user. The system device has a variety of pre-programmed tags for a variety of things, one of which is a time and a heartbeat tag. And I'm actually going to use that time tag in the example we'll show you here. The heartbeat tag can be used as a means of determining via ladder logic in the PLC that a connection exists between the gateway and the PLC. The user device doesn't have any predefined tags, but allows you to create tags in it that can be used. For example, if you wanted to take the value of a tag in one PLC, move it into the gateway, and then use it to be redistributed out to other devices, that would be one possible use of that. And then also within the configuration page for devices, there is a test device connection button, and that allows you to test the configuration of the connection to the device as you're creating it, or if you need to go back and test that connection. Maybe something isn't working right and you want to make sure, am I still connected to that PLC? That's what that test device connection button does, and I'll show you that as well. So with that, let me switch over to my gateway. This is the gateway I've got in my lab, and as I had mentioned, we've got the context-sensitive help. Select a little button right there, and it brings up a screen that gives you the help information for the page you were on when you selected it. It's worth noting that this is embedded into the firmware of the device, so you don't need an internet connection to reach it. And as the device evolves, firmware versions get released, the help section will be updated so that you'll know that if you've got the latest firmware, you've got the latest help files. Okay, let's go in and let's create a couple of devices. You notice I have some pre-programmed devices already in here. I'd mentioned the user, which does not have any tags associated with it, but I can create a tag. And the system, which really has a large variety of information in here that can be moved, one of which is the time, which is a string type, and then the heartbeat, which is a constant value of 1 in a double integer format. But we need to create devices for the demonstration here. So the first one I'm going to create is my compact logics, and I'm just going to call it L306 because that's what it is. It's an Ethernet connection. The protocol defaults to Ethernet IP, but you could select the other two Ethernet protocols we support if the device dictates that. The port number is going to default when you select Ethernet IP to the 44818, what Allen Bradley uses. And then I'm going to set the IP address here, 192.168.2.24. Compact logics is always going to be sitting on slot 0, so I'm going to leave that there. And then this is the test device connection button I was mentioning. Select that. Comes up, tells me that it can successfully reach and ping that PLC. Select OK. Submit, and now I've got my compact logics. So let's go create our micrologics. We're just going to call this one ML1100 underscore RTU. It is connected to serial port 1, however, it is a Modbus RTU device. The slave is a slave ID of 1. The other parameters here, their default values work pretty well with most Modbus RTU settings, so we're going to leave that alone, and I'm going to test that connection. Comes up and tells me that it's there. Click Submit. So now we need to create some tags that will be associated with these devices. So I'm going to go back to the compact logics, and I'm going to create 2 tags for this one. First one, I'm just going to call ML count. And let me back up for a second and mention that in the micrologics, I've got a small routine running that's just creating a number. It's counting up. And that's what I'm going to link to the gateway, or excuse me, through the gateway to the compact logics. And so the tag that I'm creating here, ML count, is an integer type, and the address in the compact logics is simply mcount. So this is the tag I'm creating in the gateway. This is the tag it's tied to in the compact logics. So click Submit. And then the next tag I want to create here is for that time, and I'm just going to call this one, let's call it local time. It's going to be a string, and in the compact logics, the tag that I'm going to write it to is just system time. Create that one. So I've got my compact logics tags. Now we need to create the micrologics tags. This one I'm just going to call count. And ushort is an unsigned integer, which is what it is in the micrologics, and its address is 40,001, and we'll click submit there. Okay, so we've got our devices and the tags associated with them, so let's go create a tag map. So I'm going to select tag maps. I've already got a couple of tag maps running, and the point I wanted to make there is that I can create additional tag maps without disabling what the gateway may already be doing if it's already working with other devices. So let's create a tag map. As I had mentioned, I'm going to take a count that's running in the micrologics. I'm going to move it to the compact logics. These are the available tags that I have, all the pre-programmed ones and all the ones that have been set up with the different processors. And then this is the map itself, and it's going to start with highlighting on source. So I'm going to take my micrologics count tag. That's going to be the source, and I'm going to move that there with this little move button. And I want to move that to the ML count in the compact logics. So I'm going to make that move there. And then I want to take that time tag and move it to the tag I created in the compact logics. And so I've done that. So I've got my two tag pairs in my tag map. Got to give it a name. We'll just call it demo. And then there's two ways to execute this tag map. One is called onChange. And if I were to do that method, I would go in and select any one of the available tags from the devices and tag list. For example, I could use the count tag in the compact logic, or excuse me, in the micrologics. I'd click submit there and then leave the polling rate at whatever I want it to be. And basically what that says is that every 100 milliseconds, the gateway would go out, poll this tag in the micrologics, and when it sees that change, or that tag change state, it would execute this tag map. The other way to do this is called periodic, and that's just going to be a time-based, based upon however frequently I want this tag map to execute. I'm going to just say for 100 milliseconds. So with this, every 100 milliseconds, this tag map will execute. Click submit. And so there's our tag map, the name, how it's being executed, and then the source and destination tags. And it defaults to inactive. So I'm going to go up to the little button right here. I'm going to activate it. And then the other feature we've got is a live tag map view. I'm going to select that. And you can see this is the count going on in the micrologics, and it's being moved to the compact logics. And then this is the time tag in the gateway that is also being moved to the compact logics. And let me show you that real quick. So this is my compact logics, and you can see the ML count, or excuse me, the M count is incrementing here. And then here's the live tag, or live time, excuse me. And with that, Garrett, I'm going to pass things back over to you.
All right, great. Thank you, Randy. Very quick demo there. It shows a really great overview of just how easy it is to set up that Universal Industrial Gateway. What I'm showing now is a slide that lists a few of the more requested protocols we've received from recent customers. If there's a protocol you don't see listed but would like to see, please enter that into the webinar question panel and send that on to me. And at this time, we're going to open a polling question for everyone on the line, and I ask that you please select the protocol you would most like to see implemented next. I would also like to remind everyone that we have 5 new gateway videos online. These are 5 short tutorial videos that go into depth on each aspect that Randy just covered of the tool. They cover areas such as system configuration, adding devices and tags, creating tag maps, maintenance and diagnostics, and of course, as well as initializing the gateway on your network. These videos can be found on Spectrum Controls YouTube channel or at spectrumcontrols.com/gateway.
All right, thank you, Garrett and Randy. On to the questions. First question we have, how does the gateway ensure that no unauthorized individuals from outside the plant have access to my equipment?
So the Universal Gateway is password protected. Furthermore, it's a local area network device and does not pass system data between the local area network and the internet. The Universal Gateway also provides security settings such as blacklist, whitelist, allow ping, and firewall.
Thank you, Garrett. Next question, how will I know if there's a communication failure?
Yeah, so as Randy pointed out, the Universal Gateway provides a heartbeat signal in the form of a system tag that originates from the Universal Gateway itself and can be monitored by the PLC. For more information, you can go to the Spectrum Controls product page for Universal Gateway and download the Gateway Heartbeat application note.
Next question. Any plans to add a second Ethernet port so it does not cost more ports on my switch?
Yes, and support for a second Ethernet port is under development.
Great, that's really great. All right, next question. Does the browser-based UI have a username and password to protect against unauthorized access to the device?
Yeah, so the device is password protected and the password is specified by the user. The username is always admin, as only a single session is permitted. This is designed to prohibit multiple users from trying to program the gateway at the same time.
Thank you, Garrett. Next question. Does Spectrum Controls offer demos?
Yeah, so aside from this webinar and the series of 5 short videos embedded on the web page, these videos can also be viewed from Spectrum Controls YouTube channel. But if you're attending any Rockwell Automation events, such as Rockwell Automation on the Move, the upcoming Tech Ed or Automation Fair will have demos at our table. Please stop by our tables. You can also contact your local Rockwell distributor or have them contact their Spectrum Controls regional manager.
Last question is, will this webinar be posted on spectrumcontrols.com?
Of course, yes. So if you go to Universal Gateway product page on spectrumcontrols.com, scroll to the bottom of the page and you'll see a webinars button that will link you to this webinar. An email will also be sent to all registered attendees with a link to this webinar as well.
Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Randy. And thank you all of the attendees for your time. We're going to wrap up this webinar and you can find more information at spectrumcontrols.com/gateway. You can also reach out to us anytime with any questions. And we look forward to seeing you at our AOTMs and also Automation Fair.